might sound a little different. Hey, I wrote this shit for Ronnie, just know I'm here for you, brother. Reminiscing on them days when I shed a tear for you, brother. Know the toughest days you've been through are in the rear for you, brother. God moves on his own time, and he made it clear to you, brother. See the finish line. I visualize realities I wanted, then invented mine. It ain't how you start, it's how you finish. Word to the scrimmage line. Luckily my hustle is my passion, this shit intertwined.
This bitch working?
Welcome. Thing on? Are we live? I think we're
Yes,
live.
sir. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like I got smacked by the low energy bug right now.
Oh,
like,
no. The good vibe tribe is coming through. We're about to get them spirits up.
We hopped off our last call, and I feel like I got smacked by I don't know what it was. Maybe it was, I don't know. I've been taking that magnesium shit before bed.
Oh yeah, you've been having them good sleeps?
Good sleep for sure. But yeah, I've been doing ashwagandha and magnesium before bed. Doubling up on the subs.
Interesting.
Biohacking.
I like it.
Working on it. We'll see. But anywho, we're back with another episode.
I think we're on number 4 for the new branding.
Yeah.
Cool.
Numero 4.
But yeah, today we're gonna run into balancing the CORE4. Just kind of talking about productive stuff, how can we grow in all areas of the life. One of the biggest things that me and Mike realized, and honestly it led to kind of the transition and the branding of the podcast, a lot of kind of the business moves we're making now, and just a lot of shit. But in general, it all kind of relates into balance in your life, just making sure that you're showing up in each area, but not overpowering one over the other, just topics like that, how can we grow in every area of our life without overpowering one, which causes us to lack in others, you know what I mean? So should be an interesting topic. Feel free to share it out to a friend if you get some value out of it. And if you think it's dog shit, feel free to let us know too. I won't really care. But but cool. Let's dive right into it, man. So so overall, this is kind of a topic that came into mind based on some of our clients talking about, how can I be productive, how can I make sure I'm getting shit done every single day. And a lot of it really comes to number one, Notion. Notion, if you're listening, man, we need the sponsorship, man, because you guys are fire. But what is Notion? Notion is just to sum it up, just organization, a roadmap, clarity, and what the fuck you're trying to accomplish in your life. Now obviously that's not what Notion means. Notion's a fucking app, but but that's what we use it for. And let's chop it up on that, Mike. How do you use Notion, yourself to make sure that you're being productive throughout the day,
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is if you rely on your brain to tell you what to do every day, you're fucked. You know what I mean? That's probably the main thing is we all know that if you run a business or you're a busy individual in general, then you probably have mental notes throughout the day of fuck, I do have to take care of this task, or I got to get this done. And if you're not putting it down somewhere, then it's gone forever, And for me, for instance, my girlfriend, she used to use a notebook and whatnot, and writing things down is good for sure. But I feel if you're working off a laptop, if you're working digital, then everything needs to be digital. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't have your task list written down here and then be doing everything here. Sometimes you can write something down and then put it in Notion, but ultimately you have to have a visual on what you're working on and be able to have a roadmap as to what you got to do. If we didn't have everything laid out, me and Mike, we use it for to-do lists, we use it for documentation purposes, we use it for client management, project management, all different types of shit. Notion's a really powerful tool. You can use it for pretty much anything. Honestly, there's a lot of shit that you can do outside, management related and organization related. But we we do it down to the fact that like, you know, we have our daily non-negotiables laid out, and it's like, check your email, check your text, like, you know, check your Instagram messages, answer like your Slack notifications, you know, like say happy birthday to whoever's birthday it is, like whatever the fuck it is like, is, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. But if you don't have those things in front of you, then it's hard to know what you have to do on a day-to-day basis, you know? And ultimately those are small things. Like you would perceive them as small things, but if those aren't on a task list in front of you, those small things are just going to continue to get pushed aside, you know? So like, I think sometimes those smaller tasks of like checking your messages or reaching out to the people that you love most or whatever the case may be, you know, those things can get pushed aside for bigger high level tasks to the point where you're never really doing those smaller things, you know? So yeah, I mean, Notion's been a huge piece of us staying organized in all areas of life and not just business, you know, making sure that we're reaching out to the people that we love most and like making sure that we're not letting business get in the way of our relationships and everything else that we got to do in life.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. And what I think one of the biggest things that you touched on there was, you know, just having shit digital, you know, like, I mean, it's fucking 2021, man. Like the piece of metal in our pocket is like the most brilliant thing that you could ever carry around with you ever. And so just leverage that shit, you know, like the biggest thing that has helped me out is just number one, leveraging the fact that that is in my pocket all the time. I can take notes. I can get stuff out of my head, you know, and like just clear that headspace, you know, like that's the biggest thing for me. Like when it comes to just what you're talking about, like productivity and stuff. But specifically like just, you know, getting rid of the journal and, you know, developing some sort of digital based journal has allowed me to, you know, when I'm driving or I'm walking down the beach or whatever, when something comes to mind, I have a place that I can jot it down. So it's not just sitting in my head like, fuck, I got to do this. Fuck, I got to do this. Fuck, I got to do this. But what that does is like, that's going to turn you in from that, like kind of like busy, congested mindset into, you know, taking that thing, brain dumping it out of your brain into, you know, a journal of some sort and allowing you to pick back up on that topic later on. So I think that's really powerful because, you know, oftentimes I'll catch myself doing that. Like, fuck, I got to do this. No, got to do this. And then I'm like, wait a second, Mike. No, the only thing you have to do is pull out your map and do the next task at hand. That's the only thing you have to do right now. And that's what like that organization, like that brain dumping allows you to do is like, you know, just get that shit out of your head, put it in a place to where you can just jot it down, revisit it later on and get back to the thing that you need to focus on. And for me, that's really, really important because I'm somebody that easily goes down that route of like, oh, fuck, you know, I got a lot of shit to do, you know, and then it's like 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., I should say, midnight, and nothing's been done, you know? Yeah. So like what's allowed me to not do that is just like, all right, damn, I do have a lot of shit to do, but let me just revert back to my map and just figure out what the next task that I got to get done right now, like the next thing is. But there's two things that I kind of want to touch on here. And one of the biggest things that I've found out that can kind of like conflict this is if you don't have like your journal, quote unquote, categorized or like delegated properly, you know? So I actually heard this from, I can't remember who I heard it from, but anyways, they mentioned the fact that they used to carry around 2 journals with them everywhere they went. One of them was for like shit that they had to do, you know, like thoughts, ideas, shit that came to mind that they had to take action on. The other one was for like brain dumps, shiny pennies, you know, things that came to mind that weren't really that important, but they still wanted to jot down so they could, you know, take a look at it when they were smoking a cigar or whatever the fuck, you know? So I think that's like really important too, is like, not only should you be like documenting this stuff and like journaling this stuff so you can make sure it gets done, but like prioritize like what is actually important and what's like a shiny penny, quote unquote, like what's something that's like cool, but pulling me away from my mission, you know? So that's one thing that I've recently like added in to my like Notion board is like just a section that's just for like to-do tasks that like I have to get done, you know, things I need to take action on. And then a section that's like literally just brain dumps. Like I don't even know what relevance this is to my life, but it sounded really cool. So I'm just going to jot this down here. Maybe when I'm chilling tomorrow, I'll look at it, maybe in a year, who knows, but I think that's like kind of really powerful to like segment based on that. But cool. So one thing that I can imagine that people on the outside might be thinking is, like what exactly should like my task list look like? Like I got 70 things to get done. Like how do I like prioritize? How can I delegate? Like what can I do here? So like chop it up on that, Mike. Like what's like, how would you recommend like somebody on the outside like go about like defining a quote unquote task list and like prioritizing the day?
Well, I think like the first question you have to ask yourself is like, I mean, this is like dependent on if you run a business or not, but like what moves the needle forward? Like ask that question to yourself, because like everybody's different. Whatever your system is, it might be different. Like currently you might be somebody who is doing everything in your business, but like I would say this, if you don't have a team in place, if you don't have different things like that, then you should probably make sure that from a business perspective, your tasks are tied in with revenue. You know what I mean? Like, because you got to make money in your business, but you also need to make sure that the other areas of your life are in place, So like making sure that like whatever your routine looks like, whatever your morning routine looks like, have a checklist for that, like those are things that we can forget. Like I have times all the time where, like I'll hit my meditation, I'll hit reading, I'll hit this, I'll hit that. And I'll be like, fuck, I forgot to do my breath work, or I forgot to do this. But when I look at my task list and it's in front of me, I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to go bang that out real quick, So make sure that your task list has each area of your life, not just one area of your life. But in regards to business and trying to figure out like, what do I need to do every day for my tasks? Like what moves the needle forward for you? If you have a business where, it's predicated on like your current personal brand and like you creating content is what moves the needle forward in your business, then like maybe it's something like creating one reel and writing out your tweets for the day and that type of shit. But if you're somebody who you rely on like cold outreach, maybe it's hitting a certain amount of outreach messages per day. Like I think sometimes people think that there's just supposed to be like a set roadmap where it's not a set roadmap. It's all based off of what moves the needle for you, like for your business and what's currently moving the needle forward in your business. And that's different for everybody. Like I think there's a lot out there of like, this is the one path to success. There is no one path to success. So like whatever it currently looks like for you, whatever's getting results for you, just make sure that you're prioritizing that stuff. Because most people run into this rut where, let's say, you're somebody who you rely, like cold outreach is where you get a majority of your business, right? Some people will allow like small meaningless shit to push them away from hitting their outreach. And then it's like, well, did you really push the needle forward for your business if you weren't doing the number one thing that's most important for you right now? You know what I mean? Like, probably not. You probably weren't pushing it forward at all. You were probably doing some dumb shit that didn't need to be handled right now, So I think that's like the first question to start with is like, let me, do some thinking on what has been moving the needle forward for me right now in business. And then let me create like 2 to 3 tasks that are associated with that overall needle pusher, if you will. Like if that needle pusher is cold outreach, or if it's content, whatever it is for you, most people just run into a problem where when they're doing everything themselves, they're trying to do everything in one day, right? So like they're trying to hit their outreach, they're trying to create content and shit like this. Like when you are doing everything yourself, you need to make sure to almost like allocate days for certain tasks as opposed to trying to get everything done in one day, right? So like I know, one of the best things I did in the past was like when I was doing, a lot of work myself and we didn't have our team in place and shit like that, I would do like, oh, Mondays are my day for content, like Tuesdays are my day for this, Wednesdays are my days for this. So I think where people run into problems is they're trying to wear too many hats in one day. Right. So they've got their content hat on for 1 hour. They've got their outreach hat on for 3 hours. They've got, like client fulfillment hat on for 2 hours. Like wearing all those hats at once is going to get draining as fuck. But if you just wear one hat, like, okay, Mondays is my content day, Wednesdays is my client day, Thursdays is my, whatever, like whatever it is for you, it's hard to like fully answer that without knowing any context. But like, think about that. What moves the needle forward for me, and how can I boil that down into some tasks on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, no, 100%. And to that point, like you can, very simply break it down into like, how, what tasks are working in the business and what tasks are working on the business. And your in the business task can be, Tuesday and Thursday. Your on the business task could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So like that's to your point, it's very important, when you're a one-man show, to be figuring out like how you should be properly delegating shit, like how you should be properly getting shit done, but to that point, like it also like shouldn't just be one-sided, like it shouldn't all just be business stuff, like every day you should be, like doing something to improve your body, so something to improve your mind, something to improve like the relationship with the ones, that are closest to you, so like keep that in mind too, like when you're thinking about like your day-to-day tasks, like don't let your life get too one-sided, like you'll quickly lose shit, whether it's, the fitness goals or the fitness gains that you made, you quickly fucking lose those. You start slipping up as far as like not hitting in that area. The relationships, you finally got the smoking hot girlfriend. Cool. Well, fucking keep her, dude. Like learn how to keep her around, like you move that attention away from something or someone, it's going to go away, and I mean, I can't say that I'm perfect. Definitely an area that I need to work on too. But overall, like it's just to that point, it's very easy to allow one area of your life to take over, and just to ignore everything else. And like sometimes it's right, sometimes you have like those quote unquote like burn phases in your business where you just gotta fucking grind, and like it's like a build phase, it's like an all hands on deck type of thing. And if that is the case, let those fucking people know, let those people know like, hey, right now I got to go hard as fuck, so like, yeah. I'm probably going to be a little in the background for a little while, but no worries. Like, I still love you. Don't worry, like, don't worry. Like nothing's changed, but like, stuff's just like going on and we got to focus, and like, yeah. So realize like, it's okay to pull in one direction over another. Like, for example, like in the fitness side with 75 hard, like, I see this a lot too. People make this commitment to 75 hard, but they don't express it to other people in their life. Me too. And then, they're wondering like, Mike, why aren't you drinking a beer with me? And I'm like, oh, well, and like, it looks weird. But if I just nut up and be like, yo, I'm doing it 75 hard, like that's part of the fucking challenge. There's no questions, like it's properly communicated. Like, yo, this is why I'm acting a certain way, Yeah. So to that point, just carry that same like realness in everything you do, and I think like one of the biggest things that I can attach this just to like end this thought is, like show the fuck up, like show up with what you're doing. One of the biggest things that I've been trying to do is like just mitigate any outside noise. Like, like right now, like, like I turned off, all notifications, all this shit. Like, I just want to record the podcast, like when, like me and stuff, like we're about to go get a pedicure, just gonna leave shit and like, just go do that, so like, that's the type of shit, like I'm really trying to focus on is like, when you're doing something, like just do that one thing, dude. Like just do that one thing 100%. Once you're done with that, go on to the next thing, and like, honestly, probably one of the biggest things that I'm guilty of, like doing something, but totally doing something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, to your point, like the communication aspect is huge with that too. If like you do have to go all in on one thing, like making sure that it's communicated to the people around you. And like, I mean, communication in general is super important, but I actually like, I watched this recent YouTube video. I only watched a couple minutes of it, so I can't really speak to it too much. But in the beginning, it's actually Ravi Abubala, and like him and his girlfriend like shot a YouTube video together. And like I only saw a couple minutes of it, but you know, like he basically said that like he started off the relationship being like, yo, like you're number 3 on my list. You know, he was like, my business is number 1, I'm number 2, and you're number 3. And like he set the stage like that to be like, yo, look, you know, I want to help a lot of people, and I have a skill set that can help a lot of people. So like, I'm not saying that as in I don't love you. I'm saying that as in I have a responsibility to pursue like my ultimate like ceiling, like my ultimate potential, right? So like he wasn't saying it as like, yo, I'm like, he said that this was like first date type shit, you know, like, yo, you're like, she was like, what's it like when you're in a relationship? And he was like, well, like my girl's number 3, you know, like, like he did that on the first date. And like she's like, you know, she owns an agency or something like that too. So she was like, cool, like, you know, makes sense. I'm fine with that, whatever. Yeah. So like, so that's the thing is like when you set the stage with people and you like communicate with them, then you can do that, you know, like I do that a lot with, you know, me and Alicia, like every day in the morning, she'll ask me, cause we always block off like at least a couple hours a day to be together. And, you know, like she'll ask me in the beginning of the day, like, what does the day look like? And days like today where like I'm literally on back-to-back calls all day, I'm like, yeah, you're not seeing me until 7 p.m. You know, like it just is what it is. And like she's totally fine with that because she knows that like, you know, there's an overall mission to it. It's not like I'm just abandoning her, you know?
Yeah.
So like, so when that communication is there and you're just like, yo, like today's crazy, I'm not going to be around until 7. Like, honestly, like if you have something to speak with me about, hold it until then, because like my presence is not going to be there until the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, there's some days where I'm like, oh shit, it's a lighter day. Like I'll block off 2 hours so we can go on a long ass hike at 2 p.m. You know, like it's all waves, but like we always start that off where like right before I hop into our 9 a.m. MST like sales huddle call, she'll always ask me like, what's the day look like? And I'm always like, yeah, I can block off like these 2 hours. Or I'm like, yeah, no, it's fucking crazy. Like, see you later, you know?
Yeah.
And that communication is huge.
Yeah. And to that point, dude, like the delivery is huge too. You know, like how you go about it is huge too. And it's funny because like like me and Steph this morning, like she, you know, we're getting ready to go to Mexico this weekend, and you know, she's looking at the flights or whatever, you know, like the seat assignments, you know, she's like, I want to make sure like our flights are together, you know, for the flight, for the specifically the one from Atlanta to Cancun or whatever. And she's like, you know, send me this. I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck about this right now. You know, like I got work to do, you know, like, but kind of to that point, that's kind of how it was delivered too, you know, and like, obviously, you know, like the give back wasn't, you know, the way that I really wanted to receive it either. You know? but like I thought about it and I was like, yo, like what I'm trying to say is like, you know, right now I need to work, you know, like if I can get this shit done, like we can go have our fucking pedicure date night and like we can talk about the flight shit while we're doing that, you know, like I like right now it's just not the right time, you know, like I'm fucking all over the place. And so like to that point, like delivery is fucking key along with communication. Like that, if that wasn't communicated, number one, they would have never been addressed. But number two, like if I didn't like retract that delivery and just address like the fact that like, yo, this is why, you know, it's not that I don't give a fuck about this. It's like, it's not a priority at this right present moment, you know? But yeah, just made me think about that as you were mentioning that, like the communication. I was like, oh wow, ding ding ding. Yeah, a little story to tell.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's the thing is like, I think that's like one thing with just work in general is like when you have like an overall goal or an overall mission, like sometimes people can't see how important that is unless they know, you know, like they're not going to just see it and be like, oh yeah, that's really important to you. So, you know, cool. Like you kind of have to voice like why. And this was actually a thing with me and Alicia, like a couple, like right when COVID hit, or not when COVID hit, but like, yeah, probably like when we moved to Colorado, like the first 5 months or so, You know, I was really locked into the business. We were completely rebuilding everything in our business. And I never like voiced to her the fact that like why I was doing it. You know what I mean? So like with business, she just saw it as like, oh, he wants to make a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, because I never told her what the actual underlying reason was for me wanting to make a lot of money. You know, like it's not like I want to make a lot of money to fucking ride around in Lambos and like throw money out of the fucking top of the roof, you know, like, so like the communication about that is really important with business too, because, you know, from the outside perspective, if you're just grinding your ass off all day and you're not communicating why, people are just going to think you're like a greedy dude that just wants to get rich. You know what I mean? But if you voice the fact that like, hey, look, the reason why I need to work my ass off right now is because when we're fucking 35, I want us to be sitting on a fucking yacht in Aruba and not fucking clocking into work every day. You know what I mean? Like if you actually voice that to your partner, like they're going to understand where you're coming from. But if you don't, and you're just working all the time, they're going to be like, this guy's greedy as fuck. You know what I mean? So like we went through like a 6-month period where she had a lot of resentment towards me when I was working because she just thought I was just trying to get rich. You know what I mean? She didn't realize the underlying reason of like the fact that I want to fucking buy my mom a beach house. I want to fucking like buy us a house. I want to fucking put us in a position where we don't have to work in our like mid 30s to 40s, you know, like where if we have kids, like we're able to just focus and raise those kids and like be there and not be working all the time. You know what I mean? So like when you really drill in the purpose behind your work, they'll understand and they'll see the vision and they'll respect the fact that like, hey, you know, he's got to do his work. So now that she knows the overall mission of like what I want to accomplish with it, like I'll even come to her and be like, hey babe, like I have this call at like 9:00. I know it's fucking annoying as fuck. Like it's 9:00 at night and we just want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix right now. But you know, like I got this call. It's super important and I got to hop on it. She's like, no, it's all good. Like you're good. You know what I mean? But like in the past, like fucking before I ever set the stage with her, like during that time period, she would have been like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like a fucking call at 9 p.m. What the fuck? You know, like, but because she understands the overall mission now, it's like, no worries at all. Like, take care of what you got to take care of. Like, it's all good. You know what I mean? So like, that's the key to communication is like people will understand where you're coming from as long as it's voiced, you know? But if it's not, they're just going to make assumptions based off of what they can see. And if they just see you at your laptop all the time and like, they're just seeing like, oh, he just wants to make money. You know,
they're gonna see a selfish dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're like, and then when he does get the money, like they start to create the stories. When he does get the money, he's gonna run away from me and he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that. And it's like, no, fucking chill. Like the only reason I'm doing this is for you and other people, you know, like, and then they understand. But to that point too, Cody Jefferson made a really good point about this because Cody Jefferson's a goat, by the way, like fucking really, 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 really like strong with just thought process in general. But he made a point about the fact that like, you know, oftentimes parents, like they'll work their ass off and then they'll be like, when the kids are mad that they're not home with them, it's like, I'm doing this for you. Right. They're like, I'm doing this for you. Like I'm working my ass off for you. Like, I know I'm not around as much, but it's because I'm doing it for you. And like what that does is it actually puts a burden on those people, right? So now those people, they think like I'm putting pressure on this person to work hard. You know what I mean? So like a lot of parents, like I know like even my dad growing up, like my dad was at work 24/7. Like he was always like he drove a while to go to work and like he was there all week. Like I barely saw him during the week, you know? And like he would, if I brought up that to him, he would probably turn around and say like, dude, I did it because I wanted to take care of you. I did it for you. And it's like, dude, I could give a fuck about that. Like be here, you know? So it's like, so that's the thing is like, you know, when you spin it into that, like you also have to be careful when you do communicate that of not saying like, hey, I'm doing this all for you. Like saying it more so of like, this is the vision and like you're a piece of that vision. As opposed to being like, the only reason I'm doing all this is because of you, because it puts more pressure on that person. You know?
Yeah, no, that's valid as fuck. I never really kind of like thought about it in that aspect as far as like what you're talking about there is like you know, it's like, yo, this is for us. Like, yo, I'm trying to build a fucking castle, you know, like I want big shit, you know, and like realize like you're fucking in that castle with me, you know? And like
exactly.
and we're having big shit together, you know? So nah, dude, that's fire as fuck. But let's chop this one here. Got a call to hop on now. But this was a fire fucking chat, man. And a huge topic overall, you know, just overall, like just pushing for, you know, just production in all areas of your life should be like a huge focus. Like I feel like for a long time, like the world was dialed into like work, grind, you know, like just build. And like now, like the world is kind of waking up to be like, man, fuck all that, man. Like I'd rather be out in the mountains chilling somewhere, you know, like on 1,000 acres and in a fucking Honda Civic that's 20 years old, you know, like so, you know, like I think that's kind of the thing is like, you know, to that point, like really figure out what you want and reverse engineer that stuff into, you know, the areas of your life and take action on that shit. But
yes, sir.
That's it for today. We're going to chop this one up and shoot it out to the World Wide Webs. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yeah. I'm on the expensive mic today. I might sound a little different. Hey, I wrote this shit for Ronnie. Just know I'm here for you, brother. Reminiscing on them days when I shed a tear for you, brother. Know the toughest days you've been through are in the rear for you, brother. God moves on his own time, and he made it clear to you, brother. See the finish line. I visualize realities I wanted, then invented mine. It ain't how you start, it's how you finish. Word to the scrimmage line.